Good morning, guys. It's 6:40 in the morning, and I don't know if you can tell, but right back here the sun is rising, and it's absolutely gorgeous. But for those of you who are just feeling like a failure today, or feeling burned out because of all the times you've made a mistake, I get it. I've been there, and I'm trying to get out of there right now, and I'm what you may call a recovering perfectionist. And that I've been a perfectionist my whole life, and I'm trying to get past that now. And it's really funny because in counseling the past 2 years, I've found out that I have what's called just unrelenting standards. It's the way that my perfectionism manifests itself. And so I scored a 29 out of 30, which is apparently a really high score for that. And so I have these really high expectations for myself. I have set these expectations or these standards for myself that I more than likely realistically will never reach, but feel that I can reach them and that I need to reach them. And so it's a battle that I fight constantly, that unfortunately always ends, or most of the time ends in failure, or ends in a mistake, and ends in me messing up. And it's hard. It's not a place that you like to be in, because the natural cycle for you to make a mistake is to shame yourself. It's the way that the enemy uses our humanness to deceive us and to make us think that we're something that we're really not. And so for us, we make a mistake, and then we get into this place of shame where we're like, oh, gosh, I'm just a failure. I'm an awful person. Why did I do that? And then we get into the next phase. We're like, okay, if I can just do this extremely well, and then we strive for this perfection to get this approval from God, or to get to do whatever we need to do to get love from God. We think that if we can just do this perfectly, if we can do this well without making another mistake, then God will love us, our family will love us, our friends will appreciate us, all of these things, and it's a cycle. So when we try super hard and it ends up in us making a mistake sometime down the road, we're like, well, shit, here we go again. Unfortunately, I mean, that's just the way it is. And so for me, the way it manifests itself is a lot of time in the way that I dress. I'm very thoughtful in the way that I dress. I want it to be done a certain way, and I want to look a certain way, because if I don't look perfectly, or if there's a wrinkle inside my shirt, or if my hair's not done perfectly, or my shoe is not tied perfectly, whatever it may look like, then I feel like people are going to judge me. I feel like people are going to not really care about me. And then even furthermore, I feel like the things that I do, I have to do perfectly. So whether it be my GPA, or getting work done on time, I feel that I have to do it perfectly, or I'm in utter failure because I didn't do it on time, or I didn't do it as good as I could have done it. And it's just not the way it's supposed to be. It's not the way that we're supposed to live life, because it's a cycle that doesn't lead to real joy. The crazy thing is that we are meant to live in this freedom that we've been given through Jesus Christ, and the grace of that. So by living in that, that is how we live in this joy, and we can enjoy life and how it's supposed to be, and enjoy the mistakes that we've made, because we learn from them. Not saying that we intentionally make mistakes to enjoy them, but I'm saying that those mistakes can be used to learn and to grow and to become a better person. I mean, think about your mentors, for example, or people that you look up to that are like celebrities. They're people just like us, and the reason you want to be like them is because they've made mistakes along the way and have learned from them and become a better person, trying to not make that same mistake again. And so we're seeing that side of them, that side that has learned and grown. And so it's a process. It's not something that we can learn overnight. But I just want to speak this truth into you, that you are not a failure. You're not. And whoever has said that to you, whoever says that to you currently, and whoever will say that to you, is just flat out wrong. I mean, it's just a lie from the enemy. The truth is, you're human, you're a person, and we all make mistakes. We all fall short, as Scripture says. And in that, God doesn't call us failure. He doesn't define us as failures. He calls us his children. He calls you his son. He calls you his daughter, whom he loves and whom he's well pleased. And that's what matters. It's not about the failure. It's not about the mistakes. And if it was, then we'd be living in this legalistic world where we feel like that's how we achieve his love. And that's just not true, because there's nothing we could do to ever achieve his love. It's something that he freely gives us, something that we can't run away from, something that we can't ever do enough or do any less to receive. But it's something that we are able to receive simply because of the way that he feels about us and how he created us. And so one of the ways that I wanted to be an example in living in that freedom, in that grace, and not living in this sort of standard that I've set for myself is, one, I've got up this morning and just rolled out of bed. So I haven't done my hair, all of these kinds of things that you may think, okay, that's really not that big deal. But for me, posting something on social media where my hair is not done perfectly and it's not gelled and slicked right is bothersome to me. And I feel like people aren't going to really like that about me. But that doesn't matter. And furthermore, this morning, I'm not going to iron my shirt before I go in this morning. And you're like, okay, that's not that big of a deal either. But for me, my look is huge. I care a lot about that. And so for me to not go in to a day where I'm dressed a certain way, where my shirt is not ironed perfectly, or it's not tucked in perfectly, is a big deal. And so I want to challenge you today is to live in what Scripture calls the new mercies that God gives us every morning. And that's why I wanted to film it this morning. This morning, God gives you new mercies that you can live into. It's a hope that we have because of the grace that Jesus has given us, that we can live in this freedom. And so today I want you to live in that. And I want to challenge you to share with me by commenting below a way that you're going to live in a way intentionally in not a perfect way. So comment below on a way that you're going to intentionally not live perfectly today. And I would love to hear those and see the ways that you are experiencing God's grace and experiencing his new mercy and the freedom that comes with that. So know that you're loved, that you're awesome, and that you're not a failure, but you're a blessing and you're a person that God is well pleased.